Hi, I'm Matt Astaford with SFA Industries, and Kara Forte, Kimberly Swan, and myself are going to talk to you today about the performance of our company. Next slide. I'll start by talking about our mission statement. Now, the mission of SFA Industries is to spread the joy of cycling by equipping top performers with high-quality products that they can trust. Our vision is to equip serious cyclists with the best bicycles on the planet. And the values that really feed into both of those statements are developing products that make people better, building bicycles that people can trust, respecting our people and our planet, and spreading the joy of cycling. Next slide. Our company, or our firm, also has a corporate social responsibility statement, and we believe that bicycles provide a valuable solution to the problems connected to the health of people and the planet. Next slide. For further background, I want to talk a little bit about our strategic plan and the core performance objectives that we set in that plan. So our plan is centered on a niche differentiation strategy focused on the high-end market segments with high-end racers, with high-end consumers. And under that strategic plan, we set some key performance objectives to reach the goals. And the first is employee quality. Second is product quality, and third is brand quality. So quality is really important to achieving the goals set in our strategic. Next slide. So based on our strategic plan, we conducted a SWOT analysis of our firm and our performance, and we found that there were many strengths that our firm has. We were second in the industry in shareholder value. We had a gross profit margin of almost $37 million. We also are debt-free right now, and our staff turnover rate was tremendously low. We also had consistent growth over the terms in the years. So those are all very key strengths to our firm. We also had some weaknesses. Our market share was the third lowest in the industry. We saw a growth in idle time in our manufacturing that increased over the past few years. We're missing one of the market segments, so we're losing market share to our competitors in that area. But with that, there's opportunities that we can do to overcome those weaknesses. We can launch a new product in the missing segment, which is the kids segment. We can reduce our idle time to be more competitive, and we can also increase advertising and PR investments to boost our sales, or even expand into global markets. But even with those opportunities, there are threats, and that is Peddling Peddlers, another competitor in the market. They are increasing their shareholder value recently and are a threat to overtake us in the industry. We also are losing market share in the adventurer segment, which is one of our prime products that we would need to mitigate. And there's always a threat in business of additional firms entering the market. There's a low barrier of entry for bike manufacturing. So there's a risk of more competitors entering the market and an economic downturn as bicycles are more of a luxury item and not a necessity. Next slide. Throughout the course of this class, we picked up some best practices, some management best practices. A few of them are listed here. What you'll find is that these all deal with values. They deal with using the core values of your firm and your strategic plan and implementing them in a lot of different ways to make as much profit and to grow your business as much as possible. So with that overview and background conducted, now I'm going to hand it over to Kara Forte, who will talk a little bit about the analysis of our firm.
This graph shows the performance of each team in the simulation based on share price. As you can see, WESA in blue jumped to the lead in 2023, followed by SFA in red. SFA's ending share price was $71.35, with a shareholder value of $98.01. Compared to WESA's ending share price of $141.26 and a shareholder value of $178.58. SFA attributes its strong financial position not only to its sound strategy, but to steady sales and cash growth. SFA remained cash positive and liquid throughout the simulation, giving us opportunities for several investment opportunities at one time, like launching or modifying a bike, buying more plant space, and investing heavily into the advertising and high quality. We did this without issuing new shares or acquiring new debt, which meant we never diluted our share price, and the debt-to-equity ratio remained strong. Both factors can negatively impact shareholder value. Lastly, SFA paid off its long-term debt within 3 years of the new management team taking over, and in the same year implemented an aggressive financial strategy, paying the highest dividend allowed and buying back the max number of shares possible. The next slides show a little more detail about SFA's financial performance. This slide shows some key financial ratios for SFA. Over the course of the simulation, as you can see, both our gross and profit margins steadily increased and stabilized by 2024. Some of our greatest spending efforts were in advertising and quality in order to gain a hefty portion of market share. Once SFA held strong positions, we had more flexibility to adjust costs to meet optimal quality and marketing metrics for each segment. We also focused on minimizing finished goods warehousing, as that can be a costly and unnecessary expense. Our steady growth in sales and ability to control costs resulted in our most recent gross margin of 62.48% and profit margin of 22.4%. Our current and quick ratio also show our strong liquidity position. At no point were we ever in jeopardy of not being able to pay back our short-term liability obligations. While cash on hand is a good thing, we were also aware that too much cash on hand is not the best way to increase shareholder value. It either needs to be invested in capital to increase growth in the company or needs to be invested in financing activities through dividend payments and stock repurchases. Our inventory ratio stabilized around 2022 after investing in efficiency improvements and adjusting our batch sizes in the manufacturing process. The inventory turnover ratio tells us that we sold and replaced inventory roughly 18 times per year. The last ratio we evaluated is the debt-to-equity ratio. As previously mentioned, SFA paid off its long-term debt after the third year of operations. The jump in this ratio in subsequent years was caused by our increase in tax liability from our increased profit before tax, at times growing at a faster rate than equity. The ratio dropped down to just below 30% in the final year as we had more cash on hand as we were unable to repurchase stocks in the final rollover. This final financial analysis slide shows a summary of the historical cash flows. As previously mentioned, our sales and cash steadily increased, giving us the ability to have an aggressive financial investment strategy. Our positive cash from operations indicates efficient and profitable operations. If SFA was losing money in this segment, it would be an indication that the business would not be sustainable long term. The negative outflows in investing activities are related to our purchase of an additional plant space. In 2025, we sold a portion of our plant to increase efficiency. As you can see, our large cash outflows were related to financing activities. We were able to start early in the simulation due to our conservative approach, keeping us cash positive. Our ending cash balance indicates that SFA has several opportunities to continue investing in growth opportunities and dividend payments. Next, Kim will go over SFA strategy performance.
Thank you, Kara. SFA Industries had a strategic vision to become successful in bike manufacturing based on a product differentiation for a niche market segment. The management team's initial conversations on strategy focused on the concept of a niche market for competitive riders and extreme enthusiasts. Part of the direction was derived from the established market segment at the beginning of the simulation. Management felt that since SFA Industries had already entered the adventure segment, it was natural to build a strategy around that position. Management believed that the adventure segment and the racer segment had many commonalities in consumer responsiveness to marketing measures, price point, distribution, and quality metrics. Therefore, the strategy to pursue a niche market through a differentiation strategy was determined. At the time of conception, there were no plans to enter any of the other market segments beyond the adventurers and the racers segment. SFA Industries soon learned that there was significant competition in both the adventure and racer segments. However, the management remained focused on the predetermined strategy and redoubled their efforts to efficiently operationalize production in order to maintain high-quality products that met accurately forecasted product demand. Upon reflection, SFA management believes that the continued focus on the niche market during the first 4 rollovers prevented the growth necessary to achieve the highest shareholder value possible at the end of the simulation. Strategy is present even if it is not articulated. The management team for SFA Industries found that a recognizable and unified strategy helped provide direction at high acuity decision points. However, the continued focus on the niche strategy may not have been beneficial for the organization. Next slide, please. There are 2 ways the management team may have chosen to strengthen decision-making and improve outcomes. First, a more focused strategy on the end goal of the simulation may have been beneficial. The stated outcome measure for the simulation was shareholder value. If management strategy had been more aligned with that particular goal and they had a fuller understanding of the simulation, it would have become more obvious that capturing volume across the market segments early may have increased shareholder value at the end of the simulation. Second, earlier recognition of the need to alter the niche market approach would have required reconciling SFA Industries' strategic plan with the end goal of the simulation. So the question is, when should you revise a strategic plan? It is reasonable to identify the frequency and timeline for planned revisions of the strategic plan when creating the first strategic plan. Within new companies, it may need to occur more frequently at the outset. In addition to timeline-based interval revision, it is reasonable to reconsider the strategic vision when preparing for a new product launch or facing a new market environment. For SFA Industries, there was a strategic revision during our entry into other market segments after our consultation with Dr. Barnes. Next slide, please. In a real-world scenario, there are many considerations that may have impacted SFA's strategic plan and outcomes differently. Strategy is the way organizations connect with customers. While the simulation allows differing brand investments and diversification of allocation into different marketing modalities, it does not account for choice of branding or marketing messaging. In a differentiation strategy, how the customers view the product can impact demand. For example, Apple has been recognized as a leader in branding through creating an identity around their products and their customers for being cool and cutting edge. In addition, an additional real-world scenario is that some organizations are created for reasons beyond pure financial profit. Some individuals start companies to pursue their passion or further social responsibility missions. The mission statement for SFA Industries clearly reflects the passion for cycling and the desire to improve the health of individuals and improve the health of the planet through decreased pollution associated with cycling for transportation and recreation. If those missions were as important as profit, then SFA Industries could be considered a socially responsible business. These companies take corporate social responsibility commitments to the next level through close integration with non-for-profit partners. Next slide, please. In conclusion, SFA Industries created a respectable shareholder value through a commitment to a strategic plan. Management allowed the strategy to direct decision-making and was responsive to necessary revision. Areas for improvement include development of a strategy that was more closely aligned with the measured outcome for success by avoiding the niche market strategy in the simulation and through pre-planned intervals for strategic revision. Thank you very much for your attention. Good luck with the rest of the class.